Mark your calendars now for February 17th to the 19th, 2026. Because if you miss this, you'll be playing catch up all year. This is the future unbound and the most important higher ed marketing and enrollment management conference of 2026. Insights EDU is taking over Fort Lauderdale, where Google, Meta, Reddit, MIQ Digital, and top institutions nationwide will pull back the curtain on what's next. Are you ready to adapt or be left behind? Insights EDU 2026 is where leaders become game changers. Register now at insightsedu.com. That's insightsedu.com. Early bird pricing ends December 15th, 2025. EdUp Experience has brought you powerful conversations with more than 400 college presidents and higher ed leaders, over 1,000 episodes and counting. Now, we're inviting you to join us in shaping the future of higher ed podcasting. For just $5.99 a month, you lock in that rate for life, but only if you sign up before December 31st, 2025. As a supporter, you'll get ad-free early access to episodes. Prices go up after December 31st, but your rate never will. Visit edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com. Click support the show and join our community today.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio back with you on another episode of the podcast. As we rapidly approach, by the time you hear this episode, we'll have passed 500,000 streams or downloads or plays or whatever word you want to use of the EdUp Experience podcast episodes in our, wait for it. I think I'm about to sneeze. We leave these things in the, I think it's passing. But that's real, guys. If I got to sneeze, it's happening on air and it's recorded. But we're about to pass 500,000 episodes of our podcast. We're so humbled, honored to have our listeners continue to listen and get insights from future leaders, futurists, college presidents who are changing the game, and really get ultimately real-time updates on what's happening on college campuses across the country and the world. And it's been a great honor to be able to do this for 5.5 years, and we have no sign of stopping. As I state many, many times that I'm booked out 3 to 4 months in advance on a daily basis, interviewing people across higher ed. And that is the case today. I'm going to bring in my guest right now. I think he's going to have some really interesting things to say, particularly about what's going on with trade programs and workforce-based programs or career-based programs or whatever you want to call them. And we'll find out the correct vernacular from him. As they continue to see steam fueling them for the future as people become more and more interested in careers that lead to jobs very quickly. Let's get him in right now, ladies and gentlemen. He's Clay Christensen. He's president at Mountainland Technical College. Clay, welcome to EdUp. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today, Joe.
Well, Clay, I'm going to get this out of the way right now. You got there's another gentleman that has a very similar name that also wrote and did things or in and around higher education, Clayton Christensen, who has since passed away. Very similar name. And you want to just enlighten the audience on the genealogy, and then we'll move on.
We're related distantly. Go back to two brothers that came over from Denmark and settled in Utah, one over on the Sanpete County side, one over on the Juab County side. My family's from the Juab side. His was from the Sanpete. So we're distantly related, but I've followed and admired him, Disruptive Education, other publications, and have admired his work for a number of years.
Yeah, it's fortuitous also that you are in an institution right now that is seeing a research. Trades are seeing a resurgence right now, and when Clayton Christensen started predicting higher ed shrinking, as it were, I don't know that people were thinking about the trades and being involved in that. Artificial intelligence would have been really hard to predict back when he did that. And so we're starting to see different things manifest. Give us the lay of the land at Mountain Land Technical College. Where are you? Who do you serve? How do you serve them? And we're going to go from there.
Yes, Mountain Land Technical College, it's the largest technical college in the state of Utah. We've been very fortunate in technical education that we have great support from the legislature, the executive branch of government, the taxpayers. It's a great system that's in place, and we are one of 8 traditional technical colleges across Utah. Our specific service region that we work with is Utah, Wasatch, and Salt Lake County. It's not only large geographically, but from a populace perspective, the populace of that region is over 1 million. It's predicted that by the year 2040, that will be up to 1.5 million and similar in size to the Salt Lake County region that exists up there. We have campuses across that area. We've grown extremely quickly. We have about 6,500 students. About 70% of those are adults, about 30% are secondary students. The secondary students, primarily seniors in high school, come here tuition free. The adults pay a low tuition. Last year, we graduated 2,700 graduates during the traditional fiscal year. Of those 2,700 graduates, 99.7% of those graduated debt-free. We have great partnerships with business and industry. We have 38 programs, and across those programs, those encompass the service industries such as culinary and cosmetology, IT, with all the programs that you would expect with our placement here on the Silicon Slopes. We're right in the heart of that area, and so we partner web development, mobile app development, quality assurance. The list goes on and on, but that will give you an example. We also have healthcare, one of our very largest. We have practical nursing, medical assisting, certified nurse assistant, dental assisting. There again, the list goes on. In the trades areas, some of our largest programs are welding, automotive, diesel, automated manufacturing. That'll give you a little bit of a taste. Commercial driving is one of our shorter programs, but they vary in length from a few weeks to several years in duration, depending upon the program. We are the apprenticeship provider for that region. So plumbing, HVAC, electrical, there's over 1,200 students that are enrolled there. And you mentioned a resurgence, and that's been exciting to watch. I've been president here for 19 years at Mountain Land Technical College. During that time, to see that population grow, we currently have about 1,600 students on a waiting list just to get into our programs. There's a huge demand for our programs. So we're working closely with the legislative base to try to be able to expand our offerings. We have 2 campuses under construction right now. One we're drawing to a close on in the south end of Utah County in Payson. About 90,000 square feet will be a branch campus. We'll cut the ribbon on that next month. Then another campus up in Heber City, up in Wasatch County, about 94,000 square feet. That's about a year away before we open that. So we've grown from a very small service region and grown extremely fast, but it's been support from the legislature and governor's office, as I mentioned. Then we have many great business partnerships that I'd love to expand a little bit on as we talk and share the great support that we have from the business community, not just for sponsorship, for scholarships, but equipment and capital facilities construction. They've really stepped up and have been very supportive of our programs. So in a nutshell, that's kind of a 10,000-foot view, Joe, but it'll give your listeners a little bit of an idea of the services that we provide here in the region.
I'm not sure if I heard it right. I just want, was it 99.7% of the 2,700 grads you had recently are debt free?
That's correct. They graduate from our programs debt-free. That's either through the majority of our programs are Pell eligible, so that certainly helps. We have state scholarships that are available, but we have an extensive number of business and industry scholarships, even sponsorship as students are hired that they're still in our program. One great example, have a partnership with the Larry H. Miller Automotive Group. They've been a great supporter of our capital facilities, Larry H. and Gail Miller Foundation. but they provide scholarships as well. And they come down, they recruit extensively from our auto program. This will just give you an example.
Yeah.
They'll come down and hire students in our program. And of course, our goal is for them to complete and get ASE certification in that area, so they have that currency, if you will, to take with them from, throughout their career. But they'll come down and hire those students. They'll pay their tuition. They'll give them a sign-on bonus. They give them a toolbox with tools that has a value of approximately $4,000. And what has been very valuable for us is they incentivize them to stay in the program. Sometimes they may come and take our program at night. Once they complete that program, that toolbox is theirs to keep. So there's a financial incentive to the students. And hopefully we develop, and it's proven to be this way, a win-win situation. It helps us for our completion placement licensure standards for accreditation purposes, and it helps business and industry. It's the ROI for business and industry obviously is there because this program continues to grow and expand. That's just one example of multiple business partnerships that we have.
I mean, I don't want to miss the moment here. And my math, I'm not that strong in math, but I think 99.7 is pretty close to
100%,
which is pretty awesome when you think about it. I mean, debt-free, just saying debt-free, I don't care how you get there. I mean, that is called, that's access, right? And that's a huge part of what a career college or trade school can offer is first of all, access, and then second of all, a really clear pathway towards earnings and income. And, you talk about partnerships, and you have to have by the way, people hear 6,500 students. When you say we have 6,500 students, depending on where you are in the sometimes stuffy land of higher education, you go, 6,500 students, that's not that many. But your churn, you have short programs. You get them in, you get them out. Your churn is so high. So to have 6,500 students, it gives you some sense of the interest is probably massive to get that many students in short programs. And because they're quick, they're 10 months or 8 months or whatever, not 4 years. There's 4-year comprehensive schools with 6,500 students. It's a massive feat to be. It's an engine almost of efficiency to be able to operate with students in those quick programs. Can you talk a little bit about that and how your business model really is engineered for efficiency to serve these students in a fast way because of the speed of the program, but also the nature of the student? I think I cut out, but I was saying, tell me what you think about the speed of the business efficiency to serve students and their expectations.
Sure. That's a great question. Mention our CDL program, for example. It's one of our shorter programs. It's about 3 weeks full time. They come in and they'll get their CDL certification at the conclusion of that program. So you're exactly right. The turnover is high there. 6,500 students compared to traditional degree granting institutions, a drop in the bucket for them.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. The average duration of our programs is about 9 months in length. We're competency-based systems, so students can accelerate through that program and leave earlier. And we also have several models in place that help students be successful. Of course, we advocate lifelong learning.
Yeah.
And this isn't just training in technical skills either. They're also being trained in the big picture. Every one of the programs, we use work keys and through ACT and do an assessment on their English and reading and math. And it's different. There is an advisory committee for every one of our programs. And those industry professionals come in and they ensure, first, we don't train for minimum wage jobs. We train for, lifelong careers. We encourage them to be lifelong learners, but those employers are ensuring that first that there's jobs available out in that area. And it's one of the things that we have to exceed the national norms on is placement, and not just placement in a job, in a related job to the occupational training that they are doing.
Right.
And also they're ensuring that they're at that livable wage. And along that path, when those advisory committee members come in, they're ensuring that the curriculum is meeting the needs of business and industry. And so there is a model. We get them through as quickly as possible, but there's also if you'll forgive me just to say the output of this educational system, we want a quality product at the end. In other words, we want a well-trained student. And if the employers aren't receiving the training, the trained individuals that they need, then we're failing at our jobs. So one of the things that I have appreciated, I just finished 43 years in education, working in education. So about over half of my career worked in public ed. When I worked in public ed, we got instructors that came fresh out of college, and they knew the educational pedagogy. They'd been through methods, they'd been through student teaching. They were great instructors. Our model is just flip-flop of that. We hire people from business and industry, and I apologize, I'm getting a little bit off track, but I'll tie it back in at the end, Joe.
No, go for it.
We get these people out of business and industry to come and teach for us because they're industry experts, but they need help being educators. So we have developed here at the college an Office of Teaching and Learning. That Office of Teaching and Learning helps them with their management system, with Canvas, with their professional development, with the educational skills and the toolboxes to help them be successful. So we make industry experts into master educators. So as part of that process, they're being trained in what's happening on the job site every day. And you're exactly right. What you referred to earlier, that 6,500, there is a quick turnover when you're only doing a 9-month average program as opposed to a 4-year plus average program. But the other thing that we do, and I mentioned being a lifelong learner earlier, we have partnered within our region. We have a really strong K-16 alliance. We partnered with the school districts. We have partnered with the degree granting institution in our region, that's Utah Valley University. And of those 38 programs that I mentioned, 28 of those are articulated pathways with stacked credentials that if they finish our certificate here, they can earn and have in hand up to 30 credits to take towards their associate degree at Utah Valley University. So if you come in, think about this and compared to taking an AP class or concurrent enrollment, think of the value of having a certificate that you completed tuition free as a high school student that you can earn up to 30 credits to take as currency down to Utah Valley University, or partnerships that we have with several of the other degree granting institutions here in the state of Utah. And you've got basically have the first year of your associate degree is completed already. Now, for us, our bread and butter is putting those people to work, putting them out in business and industry. But as we know, automotive techs that we trained 10 years ago maybe hadn't done a whole lot on electric vehicles. There's going to be upgrade training that they have to do. Hopefully they'll come back and do that with us. We have a whole other division of incumbent worker training that we do. But if we get them on that pathway, their goals may change and they've taken that off ramp to go to work. We want there to be an on ramp that they can re-enter into the educational system and fulfill that goal later on. Maybe they want to go into management and that wasn't their goal in the beginning and they might need an associate or baccalaureate degree to do that. We want them to have the door open so that they can come and utilize those skills later on. And having these pathways available, even though that's a very small portion, gives them options later on down the road. And so as we work as this K-16 Alliance, we do the same thing with our K-12 partners. We give them credit for the work that's accomplished in high school. So in essence, we've done the curricular crosswalk with our secondary partners. We can give them credit because we're competency-based. They can, instead of starting at point A, if you've been through the programs in the high school, you might start at point D or point G or wherever you are in that spectrum, that learning spectrum. Then they finish our certificate, take that's currency to go on to UVU, whether it's right now or 2 or 3 years down the road. It keeps the door open so that they can be a lifelong learner and put that learned work competence in action for themselves. And it's a return to the community. It's a return to business and industry. It's a return to the family. It saves the taxpayers dollars. It saves the student time and dollars. It saves mom and dad time and dollars. It's just a win-win-win situation. And my hat is really off to our legislature and our executive branch here in the state because they've developed these across all 8 regions, everything from rural Utah to the Wasatch Front, to focus on and give us the flexibility to focus on the needs of business and industry within our service region.
Amazing.
So much good stuff that you said there, because the articulated, credit for prior learning is a big deal. I mean, articulation agreements help with that. Other schools are not good at that, right? I mean, there's if somebody from Mountainland goes to XYZ University in Alabama, that school has trouble looking at that and going, well, should we take this? Do we take that? That's why it's important to have those partnerships with colleges and universities, other colleges and universities. And you say competency-based. Are you credit-based, direct assessment competency-based? Is it credit-based or it's like direct assessment? You do this, we're signing you off for that.
The EdUp experience has delivered over 1,000 episodes with higher ed leaders from around the world. Now you can support the show for just $5.99 a month and lock in that rate for life when you join before December 31st, 2025. You'll enjoy ad-free early access to episodes. Go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com. Click support the show and secure your lifetime rate today. If you think you can coast into 2026, think again. Insights EDU is coming February 17th to the 19th, 2026, and it's taking over Fort Lauderdale for a beachfront experience. It's the event that will flip your marketing and enrollment strategy on its head. 3 days, over 65 expert speakers, and over 40 sessions. Zero fluff. Just powerhouse strategies from the most anticipated platforms like Google, Reddit, Meta, MIQ Digital, and the most forward-thinking schools in the nation. You'll get the real wins, the bold ideas, and the hands-on tactics to grow programs, drive engagement, and create the student experience today's modern learner demands. The question is, are you ready to lead, or will you get left behind? Mark your calendar, bring your team, and secure your spot at insightsedu.com. That's insightsedu.com. Early bird pricing ends December 15, 2025. See you in Fort Lauderdale.
It is credit-based.
Yeah.
We are a credit-based system. But for example, let's say in our cosmetology program, which has been so popular, we have 3 programs here within our region, but we've had to go to a lottery system. We have so many students trying to get in. I mentioned earlier, we've got 1,600 on a waiting list. That doesn't count those that attempted to get in electronically, or that those that stood in line and the classes were full and they didn't leave their name with us. So we anticipate that there's several hundred more out there trying to get in. But if you came, for example, from one of the school districts, let me back up just one minute. We started a pilot along with our sister institution out at Uinta Basin Technical College and did a pilot with permission of the system of higher education for alignment between our institutions. We talked about this. If all the technical colleges are doing something different, how do they assess that at a degree granting institution to say, this is where we put them, or this is how much credit you can get? So we did this as a pilot. It has expanded into a statewide effort. We turned back to the system of higher education, and we're just in the final phases across the state of Utah with the 8 traditional technical colleges and 3 degree granting institutions in addition to that also provide technical college type services. So 11 in all. That we have done an alignment process, and about 80% of the curriculum and the competencies across the state of Utah in the technical college system are aligned. So that if a student comes from Mountainland Technical College and they don't want to go to Utah Valley University, but maybe they want to go to Utah State University up in Logan, USU can look at what they've done at Mountainland Technical College and say, hey, I know what that is, because about 80% of what was the curriculum is going to be very similar to what our regional partner, Bridgerland Technical College, is doing here. And so we can give credit for that. And so here again, that's been some of the brilliance, I think, in the state of Utah, is looking at how we can do that, how we can give that. Now, once we get outside of the state of Utah, then it's a different situation. But there is a great deal of similarity between the core content. That other 20% allows us the flexibility to work within our region, because there are differences. Our friends out at Uinta Basin, for example, that's a huge oil, gas, energy location out there. And so their welding program may be a little bit different than our welding program here, which is more structural and fabrication. So those local differences have been allowed for, but still the core competence and the skills that those students are going to have are going to be very, very similar from region to region to region. So that helps us as we move forward and start working with other partners outside of our region and look at this more globally across the state of Utah.
Now, you said your students, or many of them, are Pell eligible. Does the new short-term Pell regulatory, whatever you want to call it, initiative affect you at all? And if so, what are you doing? Tell me how you're thinking about it.
It has a minimal impact on what we've been doing in the past. And so that Pell is one of the options, one of the tools that we have in that counseling toolbox. We also have, the state of Utah has what they used to be called, it's now called a Career and Technical Ed Scholarship, used to be called Bridge Scholarship, that helps those high school seniors that maybe started a program and they're halfway through when they graduate high school, so we can help them financially complete the rest of that program. Scholarships, we have several foundations that focus on single mothers or those that are specific to those industries. So the new Pell requirements, we've had to do a few workarounds and a few adjustments, but it's not going to, long term, it's not going to have an impact on that debt-free graduation rate.
What do you, there are many universities out there with the short-term Pell starting up, and they're looking at offering it for their non-credit programs next year, who are very excited, and they see a future revenue stream. You start to see some of the requirements around it, if you are familiar. Placement rates, and you have to make sure that there's an ROI. So you've got to make sure that that student who got the Pell is seeing some kind of salary increase. And I don't know that there is a very solid understanding of the infrastructure requirements to do those kind of things if you're not used to doing them. You can't just all of a sudden go, okay, we're just going to track that. We're just going to place students, not a big deal. Can you give advice to those out there that are thinking about offering short-term 8-week to 15-week programs that lead to a job? You've got to have an infrastructure that's a whole lot different than what you currently have if you're not doing that stuff. What advice do you have for those out there thinking about it?
Great question. All the technical colleges in Utah are accredited by the Council on Occupational Education. And so back to your inference, we have to meet or exceed national norms in placement, in completion, placement, and licensure rates. And if we don't, that program is triggered and it's put on a probationary status for a period of months. And if we don't bring that up, then we have to close the program or our institution will lose the accreditation. So we are built on a model of accountability. It's not just, okay, here's your certificate, here's your degree, good luck. What we do here at Mountain Technical College, we have what we call a TOR. It's a training outcome report. And all of our instructors, this has to go clear down into the classroom, that accountability, that follow through. And we have put in place through a variety of systems, both software and then we have placement coordinators and part of our Student Success Center. They all work on this, but we have to track those students within that short time frame after they graduate from our program. Now, if they get a job while they're working for us, that's pretty easy to track. But there are a variety of other ways that we have followed up with employers. And so as they complete the programs, our instructors are gathering information so that we can reach out. And you know how hard it is to get students to respond after they've graduated.
Yeah, right.
So we try to gather as much information as we can before they walk out our doors for the,
It's like literal skip tracing.
It really is.
Students, you got to you got to like geolocate them and find them and try to get them to respond.
Social media. There's, and so one of the keys to doing that for us has been back to that advisory committee model that I mentioned before, is having relationships with these employers. And employers have actually, they really want to be on our advisory committees, because once they come in the door, then they can get the cream of the crop. They can look at
I mean, what a reduction in search costs, right? For them, they just come in, pull a grad out, save, what is it, like the average is $8,000 to hire an employee with all the stuff that, in training. It's like, what a great deal.
It's a perfect model for them. And so once we get them on that advisory committee, that helps us with those students that they're, have employed. The other One of the other pieces that helps us is the majority of our programs require a clinical experience. It's an unpaid experience, but like in healthcare, have partnerships with Revere Health and Intermountain Health. And by having those clinical sites that our instructors are working, we have clinical coordinators that are there on site. That helps us give a tie-in to business and industry. That to me is the beauty of the technical college system is we have to be in tune and tied with business and industry um, in order to exist, in order to survive. There's a reason why these students are knocking at the doors trying to get into our program. And to me, it's twofold. One, the first one is it's a quality experience because we've worked on quality education, curriculum, competence assessment, and giving them the tools they need to be successful in business and industry. And the other is that partnership with business and industry. Not only we're helping you, we're holding your hand, helping you get a job after you're finished. It's not here's your certificate, good luck. We're reaching out to business and industry and those people that, as they're doing their clinical experience, you'd be surprised how many are hired at the clinical experience that they, because there again, it's not just a matter of having a relationship with the instructor, being on the advisory committee, seeing how they are in class. You get to watch them in your workplace and see how they interact with other individuals, what soft skills they possess, and refine the other skills. And if they come out and they're not doing something appropriately in the clinical experience or they need additional help, then that feedback comes right back to the advisory committee. The curriculum is tweaked. We don't have a curriculum review committee that takes months or years to change curriculum. Yeah. We have an advisory committee. And if you meet on Wednesday night and you're told by the dentist that you need to change this on Dentrix software instruction in your classroom, Thursday morning, it's changed. And so we have to be very nimble and responsive and turn on a dime.
That concept of relevancy is so important and escapes us sometimes in higher. We all talk about it, but the churn of your programs, the fact that you're having students go onto the workforce very quickly, the fact that you have an advisory board who's directly involved in reviewing that curriculum, but also your output is happening faster. So you can see how prepared that student is or not and make swift changes. But you can't take time or else you lose relevancy right away. And all of a sudden, right, your part of your value proposition is placement. It's that you're going to get a job. 99.7% are going to get a job or whatever your statistic is. To a parent or to a student that's looking to make more money and have a trade, that's the attractive part. If the curriculum isn't relevant, those numbers go down. That's the whole value proposition. So you have to be ready to change on that. And what are you supposed to say to somebody in an advisory committee? Oh, the dentist says this is on Wednesday night. This isn't relevant anymore. We changed this a week ago, and now we need everybody updated, and the school says, it's going to take us a couple of months to update that curriculum. The dentist says, screw you, I'm going to go hire from somebody else, right? I mean, there is literal, almost real-time relevancy that you have to respond to. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And, these advisory committees, this isn't a small group. We have 573 people that serve on advisory committees programmatically across the board. One of the other models that has worked very well for us that we've implemented in many of our IT programs and in apprenticeship is coordination of bringing industry experts in to team teach with our instructors. For example, in web development, when they're teaching a specific component, they may bring in someone from Bluehost or Domo or Ancestry or whoever the partnership's with. We're right in the middle of Silicon Slopes. Because what happens when you hire an instructor out of business and industry? If you don't keep them interacting on a regular basis, their skill set gets outdated. Their curriculum gets outdated. So we pay to bring people in. We pay them their industry wage, their hourly wage. We don't have to pay benefits, so it's a win-win for us. We bring them in out of business and industry to help teach this 2-week section or this 4-week section. And as a result, the curriculum in IT, it's so imperative that it's updated on an ongoing basis because it changes almost daily. But by having those people come in and teach alongside of our instructors, it keeps our instructors updated, but more importantly, it keeps our curriculum updated because they can tweak it daily as this is being done and say, hey, we don't do this anymore in this industry. That's the feedback that they've had of the appreciation for an IT program in a technical college is because we don't have to go through that curriculum review process. We've had them say, some of the curriculum in this program is so outdated that they're teaching now. By the time they get here, we have to retrain them when they get here anyway. So that's been part of the success of that IT program. It's been rotating them in and out. And in apprenticeship, we teach our apprenticeship in the evening primarily. We do have some high school and adults. And by the way, we don't treat our students any different. If you're a secondary or an adult student, you walk across our threshold, you're now an MTech student. No one's treated any differently.
Let's go.
So when they come in for that apprenticeship experience, we have some during the day, but in the evening, we're bringing people out of business and industry. They're primarily adjunct. So if you're a journeyman electrician, you might be teaching Section 2A for us or 2B or whatever the case might be. What we've done with our program there to keep it somewhat fresh, we're hiring some of our 4A and 4B students to teach some of our 1A and 1B sections, so that that relevance and that tie-in just before they're getting their journeyman or passing their journeyman exam helps keep that curriculum fresh. And we've had that same focus on quality there that we've had across all of the areas, that quality instruction needs to take place, even if it's an adjunct that's teaching for us just 2 nights a week.
How many start dates do you have per year? How often can students start?
It varies by program.
Yeah.
Cosmetology, for example, that's more of what we call an open entry, open exit type of program. So they can start every first and third Monday as seats become available. The bulk of the other programs, we're running on a traditional schedule of 2 semesters plus a full summer semester as well.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you have a waiting list, I think, is just an indication, because, you always hear we can't find good people. The employers are hiring, they would need highly skilled workers. And one of the, phenomena that's happening in higher ed these days is the idea of artificial intelligence and what the adoption rates are, not just from a teaching and learning perspective, but what are the employers expecting from students? Now they're dumping into 4 years, and the onus is on us as an institution to prepare that student for the new AI-driven world. And then you've got 4 years to do it, but we don't change that fast, and we're getting some pushback and da-da-da-da-da. How do the trades think about technology and artificial intelligence? Because I think people go, oh, well, there's some trades you're just not going to use so much AI, and I guarantee those companies out there in the trades are thinking about AI for efficiency and expecting students to use it.
Absolutely. It's interesting. We had this discussion about electrical apprenticeship just within the past few weeks and the incorporation of AI in that system. There is a lot that can be accomplished. There's still going to be the human hands element that have to go out and pull wires and do the
changing the
electrical
light bulb,
things.
literally.
Exactly. Right? But they've looked at it from an efficiency perspective. And so across our curriculum, they teach sections in IT, for example, is how to be productive working remotely, working at home as opposed to being in a traditional structure, and train them so that they're ready for those situations. But even CDL and the infusion of AI and what's happening there, I think they've looked at that from how do we work smarter? How do we work more efficiently? As opposed to, hey, we're going to lose our jobs because AI is going to replace us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and that's, I don't know who I was talking to, another president, and they offered recycle and waste management programs. And, people think that, you're the garbage man who's coming around doesn't need to know any technology, and now it's all AI generated. It's angles, and you got to get the crane down a bit. I mean, there's just so much going on in the trades to, from a technology basis, and it's and yet still it's hard to find people to do the jobs that the trades are filling. I mean, I before I moved to St. Louis, I was in Southern California, and to get an electrician in Southern California to come to your house was like a 3 to 4 week long waiting period. Right. Now, it's good to see with Align at your institution? Because it says that people are looking at the trades again. Is that has that been the case recently, or is this over the last 18 months to 2 years where you're seeing a surge?
Well, it's like other technology is that enters in. It's been interesting to watch with electrical vehicles, for example, in our
Yeah.
automotive program and seeing what's happened there. Um, we've done something I think that was a bit unique that's being replicated in other areas. We opened a new building in 2019, built that focus specifically. It's called Technology and Trades. So we have IT and trades infused together within that program and talking about how they interact one with another. One of the programs there is automated manufacturing.
Mm.
And in that automated manufacturing, we have a big plant here within our region from Texas Instrument. And they had always required associate degrees to hire their technicians there. Well, we have a member of their administration is one of our trustees for the college itself, and she wanted to run a pilot, got permission to do that, and from the headquarters in Texas, and so they hired one individual that did not have an associate degree, had a certificate from our automated manufacturing program. Long story short, it worked out so well. She got permission to hire more and more. We hosted the group, the admin group from Dallas came in and toured our program to see what was being done. Now they've implemented that across the system. And so
Wow.
other areas are being opened up for below an associate degree, someone that's being trained specifically. And I mean, this is PLCs and robotics, hydraulics, pneumatics, and everything that you would expect in a manufacturing area. Now, one thing I'd also like to point out too, Joe, is we don't train for one specific business. We may have a host sponsor, like I mentioned, Larry H. Miller has sponsored our automotive program, but we also do Nissan training. We do training for Dodge and Chrysler and across the board. So we're preparing them for the industry, not for one business. So even if we do a startup, we just did a new civil road construction program. Our board chair owns they have a massive business and do a lot of the highway road construction. They were having trouble. We ran it as a pilot. It's now a 2-year program and did it as a pilot with their employees. But now it's being opened up to all the businesses across the state of Utah to have their employees come and take. So, it's AI seems to have come on just relatively quickly over the last short time period, but our people have a real close bond there again with business and industry and how that ties in and trying to stay ahead of the curve on that. And while we're not specifically teaching one program that focuses on artificial intelligence, it's being within our IT, it's infused across that. And we've been doing that for a long time with trying to incorporate those areas because you can't work in isolation in a trades area without knowing the latest, greatest technology. I taught welding and taught agriculture for years and years, and the things that changed in that field over that time, I'm so far outdated after being removed for the last 20 years from that area. The technology and what's taken place with that, it's just amazing. So it's incumbent upon our instructors and our staff and our team to keep up to date with what the latest trends are.
Well, hopefully you could still turn on that blowtorch. Maybe you don't know what to do with it at this point. You can burn the metal, but maybe not put anything together.
I can still weld a little bit. I still do.
There you go. What else do you want to say about a Mountain Land Technical College that we haven't talked about? Anything on your mind? Anything that you want to leave the audience with? And then we'll give you our final question and be done.
Joe, you alluded to it a little bit before. It seemed like when I first went into the area of, it's been called a lot of different things, vocational education, whatever the case might be. And when I first started, it seemed like that was the portion of the high school where the counselors wanted to send the students if they could cut it anywhere else.
Right.
And that was always the occupational area for someone else's child, not my own. And we used to have a steel mill here. Geneva Steel was here in the county, and I've like to refer to that as the Geneva Steel syndrome. I'm not going to have my child go down and work in those filthy conditions. But, we have students that come through here. We have a lot of non-traditional students, females in male predominant occupations. We have students across the board. They're working in great conditions. The pay is excellent. And it's one of those things when we look at the existence of what takes place for every doctoral degree. We need 2 bachelor's degrees to support that, and 7 technicians to support those. And those technicians now are making very competitive wages compared to their counterparts that have gone a different route. It's not that one is better than the other. It's just a different career path that students choose to take. And it's been exciting to me. That's what's kept me coming to work every day the last few years, is to see the opportunities that are available for students, and that now we're getting in our programs, in our farm tech programs, we're getting students to come here to get the hands-on practical experience so they can go be a pharmacist. Same way to be a doctor, to be a dentist, to work in the ironworking field, automotive, to be a tech or a shop manager, or whatever the case might be. That it's not something that has to be either or. It can be and. We can do this and this. And it's been exciting to see that transformation over the last 40 years in technical education.
What do you see for the future of higher ed? You've been around a while. What's coming? Give us the crystal ball.
Well, I don't know if I have much of a crystal ball or not. We've had our local congressman, Burgess Owens, has been here on campus. He's seen our model for what we've done for incumbent worker training with a custom fit program that we haven't had time to even touch on, and to see what's happening with technical education. And he's one of the chairs of the Education Committee in Congress, and he's excited about this model and expanding it across the country. With the degree granting institutions, they certainly have their own set of challenges. We do too, as technical colleges. But I think you're going to see less lines between the two, and there'll be more of a symbiotic relationship, and they'll be looking for opportunities to build upon one another and work more closely together across the country. That's my hope and desire, and what I would anticipate watching from a distance over the next few years.
Well, there you have it, everybody. I got to tell you, it's exciting to hear the trades surging with students who are interested in getting affordable education, getting a job, going to work, contributing to the economy, and then maybe going back to school later. It's certainly a pathway that is available for many students today, and to see the success that you've had, Clay, at Mountain Land is tremendous. And so we thank you for bringing it here. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the one, the only, Clay Christensen. He's president at Mountain Land Technical College. Clay, what did you think of your experience here on EdUp today?
It was great. And I really loved the format of not having pre-baked questions, of just being able to speak and have a conversation with you regarding technical education. So great experience. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about something that I'm so passionate about, technical education.
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd.
Attention higher leaders, it's time to shake up your marketing and enrollment strategy. Join us at Insights EDU, February 17th to the 19th, 2026 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a beachfront experience and the best higher education marketing and enrollment management conference. Early bird pricing ends December 15th, 2025. Register now at insightsedu.com. The future unbound is at Insights EDU 2026. Support the EdUp experience for just $5.99 a month and lock in that rate for life. You'll get ad-free early access to episodes. But hurry, price goes up after December 31st, 2025. Visit edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and click support the show.